Welcome to your Monday morning Feel Good Flow. And today we will be continuing to explore crow pose, a fun arm balance that is fun but challenging. So we'll see in the next couple minutes if we have anyone rolling in for the live class. And if you are joining in for the recorded version, then feel free to skip the first minute or two. Feel free to get yourself set up. You might want a block, you might want a pillow, you might want music. Everything's optional though, all you really need is yourself. And if you're joining live, then you might want to grab those things as well if you don't have them already. We'll be getting into our hips, our core, our upper body, all those wonderful things to help wake us up and feel good and prepare us for a crow pose. So last week we did a little reclined crow, really focusing on the muscles in the core. We will be doing that again at one point in this class. And we're just going to be working on a traditional crow pose. So I think I'm going to get started. So go ahead and throw on your playlist when you are ready. And we are going to begin in a seated position. So seated somewhere towards the top of your mat, bringing your feet together and letting your knees open wide. And then sort of once you're in that position, sometimes called butterfly, sometimes called cobbler's pose with feet together, knees wide. You can either slide a block or a pillow underneath of your hips. If you're feeling a little bit tight in the hips this morning, you want to give yourself some more space. And then you'll just want to fold forward. So just begin to relax the upper body down, letting the head hang heavy. And if you come into this shape and it feels a little too intense, and then you might want to slide your feet a little bit further away from your hips. You don't have to go into full intensity right off the bat. And just feel free to shake your head a little side to side. Take a few gentle neck rolls. Relaxing your arms wherever feels comfortable. Maybe they're resting somewhere on the legs or on the floor. Maybe you're sort of swaying the whole upper body gently side to side. And just feeling some space throughout the spine between each vertebrae. And take a couple more deep breaths right here. Just bringing yourself onto the mat, into this practice for the next 30-ish minutes. Take one more deep inhale. And let it all out. And then slowly begin to roll up the spine. You can keep your eyes closed or you can flutter them open. Bringing hands somewhere comfortable onto the legs. We'll take a few gentle cat-cows here. So as you inhale, lift the chest up, drawing the shoulder blades down. And as you exhale, round the spine, spreading your shoulder blades wide, tucking the chin. Again, inhale to lift the chest high, shoulders slide down the back. And exhale to round, little lean back. And just with the breath, warming up the spine. And you might stay with this cat-cow, or you might just start to move in maybe some circles, or any way that you feel that your body needs right now. And if you are joining me for this live version, you might be moving slow, feeling out the spine this morning. And if you're joining in after, your movements might be a little bigger or a little quicker. And just let the head go along, let the arms go along for the ride. If you were moving in circles, you probably want to switch directions at some point. And then just starting to let yourself settle into the middle. Sitting up nice and tall, feeling a lift in the core as you pull your belly button towards your spine. We will draw the knees together, drawing them shut. Knees and feet together if you can. Either grab onto the backs of the legs or have your hands behind you for support. We're going to come into a supported boat pose. So start to lift the chest up as you lean back, still feeling that strength in the core as you hug your belly button towards your spine, as you lift your chest and drop the shoulders down. You could stay with your toes resting somewhere on the mat, or you could hover them, maybe one or both. Maybe you bring your shins parallel to the ground, waking up the core, finding one point to focus. Sometimes I like to look at my toes. Keep reminding yourself to soften shoulders, face, jaw. Save the energy for the core. Take one more breath in. And as you exhale, we'll cross the legs, plant the hands down, step back into a plank. So your plank might be from your toes with the legs long, or it might be with knees down. Take a moment to spread the fingers wide. Make sure index fingers pointing to the top of the mat. Pressing down into the fingertips and the bottom knuckles. Wrists right under the shoulders. Begin to lift the core even more here as you push the floor away. And then we'll start to take some shifts forward and back. So bringing the shoulders slightly ahead of the wrists and back. And just rocking forward and back a couple times, warming up the wrists. If you would like a little more, again, those knees could be lifted. As you shift forward, can you feel your fingers grip the mat even more? Keep breathing, feeling the shoulder blades spread away from each other. Feel the legs start to work a little bit here, even if the knees are down. Take one more shift forward and back. And then if the knees aren't down, bring them to the mat. Keep the toes tucked under, send your hips to your heels. Take a little child's pose here, keeping the arms long and active. Feeling the hips reach back a little further, spine lengthen. And then we'll take a couple of modified flows. So as you inhale, rise up into plank. From the knees or the toes, you can choose. And as you exhale, bend the elbows lower to the mat. Inhale, lift your chest, legs stay strong, little cobra. And exhale, press yourself back into your child's pose, hips to heels. Take two more. Inhale brings you forward to your plank, knees or toes, grip the mat firmly. As you exhale, bend the elbows, lower down. Inhale, lift the chest, shoulders slide down, cobra. And exhale, send the hips back, child's pose. One more like that, just with the breath, feeling the body wake up. And then next time you press yourself back, we're coming into downward facing dog. So toes tuck under if they're not already, and hips lift high. Go ahead and take your dog for a nice little walk on this sunny Monday morning. Giving your head a little shake, your hips a little sway. Whatever feels good, whatever feels right this morning. Maybe that is stillness. And in your downward dog, can you still feel that connection to your fingers? So you're not dumping the weight into the wrists. You're gripping the mat, rooting into the fingers, into the bottom knuckles. So where the finger meets the palm, really rooting down into those spaces, feeling the forearms start to squeeze. And then slowly start to walk your hands back towards your feet. So you're in a forward fold at the back of the mat. Relax head, neck, and shoulders. Take a gentle sway. Feel that wonderful stretch through the hamstrings, the calves, the spine, the hips. And then come to stillness in the center. We'll take a breath in, soften the knees, reach your arms up into a little chair. And as you breathe out, send the hips up, come back into your forward fold and soften. A couple more. Inhale to a little chair, soften the knees, reach your arms up. And as you exhale, take a little fold, just waking up the legs. Again, bend the knees maybe a little lower into your chair. And then we'll fold. Take one more, inhale to chair. And exhale into your fold. This time in your fold, we're coming into gorilla. So slide your hands underneath of your feet, bending your knees as much as you need to get your hands underneath there. And the fingers are pointing towards the heels, so you're stepping on your palms. Generous bend in the knees and the elbows. Maybe take a little sway here, give your wrists a massage with your toes. Elbows can flare out wide, or you can squeeze your elbows in so that they point towards your shins and you get more stretching in the wrists. Taking a few more deep breaths. And then slide your hands out from underneath of your feet. Let's take an inhale, halfway lift. Feel the thighs lift, the core engage. As you exhale, take a forward fold. Inhale to rise all the way up. Bring your palms to touch. And then exhale, bring your hands to your heart. All right, let's warm up a little bit more. So as you inhale, reach high. And as you exhale, fold all the way down. Take one halfway lift, realign the spine. Hands can come to thighs or shins. As you exhale, fold, bring the hands down, walk it out into plank. A nice strong plank with wrists underneath of the shoulders, either from the toes or the knees you choose. And then you can choose whether you'd like to hold this plank, pushing the floor away, or take a little shift forward. Bend the elbows either halfway or all the way. Lifting the chest, cobra, or straight arms, thighs lift, upward facing dog. And then sending your hips back it up into downward facing dog. We're meeting back in plank. So if you're still there, stay there. If you're in downward dog, shift forward to your plank. And then we're taking side plank on the left. So drop the left knee down, turn the toes behind you for more support, reach your right arm up and overhead and reach your right leg long. You can either stay here in this modified side plank on the left-hand side, or you can lift your right foot. Lots of options. You can stay here, or you can take an inhale, reach through the fingers, press through the heel, and as you exhale, bending elbow and knee, maybe getting them to squeeze together. I'll show you from here, from the side. As you exhale, pull elbow to knee. Couple more times if you're moving or if you're staying still, focusing on squeezing the left side of the body and rooting into the left fingertips. This time, we will all step the right foot to the top of the mat, oop, to the edge. So we're taking it out into a wide lunge. Hands can come down under the shoulders or a block if you have one. And then we'll just warm up that right hip just by rolling onto the edge of the foot. And then bringing it back down. And just like you're opening up a book, knee rolls open and hugs back in. Just a couple more times, noticing what's going on in that right hip joint this morning. And then we'll bring it back down so the right big toe is planted down into the mat. Keep your left hand where it is, and then reach your right arm up for a twist. Feel a little hug of the inner thighs, making sure that left bottom shoulder isn't pushing forward, it's tugging back in towards the socket. Let's make a fist with that top right hand and roll out the wrist a couple times in both directions. Really getting into the wrists, so making sure that we be mindful that we're safe and careful with the wrists, that we're protecting them, we're strengthening them. It's normal to feel some sensitivity in your practice in the wrists for sure. Bring the right hand down. We'll pull the hips back so right leg is long into a wide version of half split. So your right foot is still towards the edge of the mat, either coming onto fingertips or using your block as you pull the hips back and reach the spine and the chest forward. Take a few deep breaths, lengthening the back of the right leg. And then we'll bend back into the right knee. Keep your right foot planted. Walk your hands forward. Lift the back knee. Take a nice big step up. So the stance is wide here. Heels in, toes out. Coming into a squat, but not all the way down. So hips just in line with the knees. Let's take an inhale. Reach the arms forward. And as you exhale, bring your hands to your heart and stand up. We'll do a couple more times like that. So as you inhale, bend the knees, reach your arms forward. And as you exhale, press into the feet, squeeze the glutes, hands to heart. 2 more times. Inhale, reach forward. And exhale, press into the outer edges of the feet, squeeze the glutes, hands to heart. One more time, reach. And stand and squeeze. This time, let's inhale, reach all the way up. And exhale to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, feeling some space in the spine with the feet a little wider. Exhale, hands come down. You can either step back into plank or move through a flow. You choose your options. If you're moving through your flow from your downward facing dog, you'll just come back into plank. If you're in plank, here we all are. Let's take side plank on the right hand side, dropping the right knee down, toes tuck under behind you for more support. Left arm reaches long, left leg is long. Again, you can stay here, working on some balance and squeezing the right side of the body. You can lift the left foot. Again, you can stay here, or you can take a big inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, bend elbow and knee. Maybe you get them to connect. Inhale to reach and lengthen. Exhale to squeeze in. Try not to push your hips back. Try to keep them level. And maybe that means that your elbow and your knee don't touch, but that's okay. You're really just focusing on squeezing the left side. Maybe feeling something in that left hip I just did. A little bit of a cramp, also very normal. All right, this time let's step the left foot up wherever you are. Take it out wide, heel in, toes out. Both hands can come down, maybe you're on the fingertips, it's all good. A nice wide lunge here, and we'll take a few opens with that hip. So rolling to the edge of the left foot, allowing the hips to sort of drop down gently and then lift up gently. Maybe hearing or feeling some clicking in the left hip, totally normal. Okay, we'll meet back with the left foot planted, root into the big left toe. Keep the right hand down into the shoulder, pull the shoulder back into the socket, and then reach your left arm up. Maybe look up. As you feel the inner thighs squeeze together, the core start to lift. Make a fist with the left hand, and then again, take a few little rolls of that wrist in both directions. And throughout your practice, if you do feel wrist sensitivity, make sure that you're firmly gripping the mat. And know that with practice, with patience, that the wrists do get stronger, but it can be a pretty long process, so just be nice and kind to yourself. We'll take the left hand back down, and we'll pull the hips back, left leg long, toes can lift off the mat, reaching the chest forward, keeping the back of the neck long. Feel like you're actively pulling your left heel to the back. So when you kind of soften and sink into the stretch, you might feel it a little bit, but try and keep it active. So like you're dragging your heel back, lifting the core, feeling it a whole lot more. Let's bend back into the left knee, plant the left foot down, walk the hands forward, right knee lifts, big step up into your squat. Heels in, toes out. This time allow the hips to come down a little bit more below the knees. You might sit your hips onto a block. Your heels might be lifted, so you might fold a towel or the mat underneath of your heels. You could keep your hands on the floor. So many options to choose. Or you could bring your hands to your heart. If you're bringing hands to your heart, keep the legs active. So allow the elbows to guide the knees open, so you feel a bit of pressure there. But then press your knees back into your elbows, so they're resisting against each other. Keeping nice and long through the spine. Finding one point of focus. Maybe feeling a little bit sweaty. Stay with the breath. Take one more inhale. This time as we exhale, we're sitting down, so hands can come behind you for support. And we'll actually lay all the way down to our backs. So come on down as you hug your knees in, pulling them in nice and tight. We're coming into our reclined crow here. So you lift the head and shoulders, and you can either take your arms long, reaching towards the sky, shoulder width, or you can support the head, so cradling the head with the hands. Keep the neck nice and long, so chin isn't in towards the chest. There's space along both sides of the neck. Take your knees wide. Oh boy, taking deep, big breaths here. Can you lift the head and shoulders and lift the hips, trying to get your knees to touch your triceps. Feel the core here, squeezing it in, pulling belly button to spine. You can either stay here, which is super duper hard, or you can start tapping your right toes to the mat.
and then pulling it back, and then left toes to the mat, and pulling it back. The whole time you're trying to keep that knee glued to your tricep. If you're like, oh yeah, that's fun, but I want a little more, you can take your leg long and pull it in, and take it long, and pull it in. Holy cow. Keep breathing and smiling and just doing your absolute best. If you're feeling it, I promise it is working. Evening out those legs. Do one more each side because you can. Staying connected to that sensation in the core, that'll be so helpful in your crow. Whew. Take a moment once you've evened it out and lower the head down. Give yourself a little rock side to side. All right, and then we'll make our way back up into plank. So you can take a few rocks, planting the hands down, and then once you're in your plank, you can either move through a flow or just lift those hips up into your downward dog. Taking a big breath into the belly, feel it fill up and empty. Next, inhale, lift the heels, look towards your hands, bend your knees, take a step or a little hop to the top. Into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen the spine. And exhale to forward fold. And inhale to rise all the way up, palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart. All right, we're gonna work on a bit of balance here. So shifting the weight to the right hand side, to the right leg. Taking the left foot, sole of your foot to the inside of the right leg. So calf muscle, ankle, or inner thigh, setting up for your tree. Press your foot into your leg, press your leg into your foot. Bring your hands to your heart if you'd like, or keep them on your hips for some balance to make sure that the hips stay level. Or maybe you reach your arms all the way overhead. Rooting into that right foot, focusing one point in front of you. We'll switch this up a little bit, take one big breath in. And as you exhale, we're coming into eagle. So slide your left arm underneath of your right. Take your left leg, cross it over your right as you bend into your right knee. Palms stay facing away from each other. Don't flip around the wrists. Keep your palms facing away. See if you can bring them to touch. If not, go ahead and grab those shoulders. Take a breath in here. Lift the chest, arms lift high. As you exhale, round in. Bring the elbows and the knees closer together. Inhale again, lift. As you exhale, draw the elbows and the knees maybe to touch. One more like that, little lift as you breathe in. Oh boy, finding balance. As you exhale, round in. This time as you lift up, stand all the way up. Keep your eagle arms, lift the left leg. And as you exhale, step back into warrior two. Keeping eagle arms as best you can. Left toes tuck under, left foot pivots flat. Lining up front heel to back heel or front heel to back arch, bend into the right knee. Take a breath in here. And as you exhale, start to fold, lowering upper body down for a humble warrior. So you're bringing the right shoulder to the inside of the right knee, either keeping eagle arms or bringing hands down for support if you need it. Wherever you are, try and pull that right knee to the right shoulder, scooping right hip under, letting the head hang heavy, hugging the inner thighs, pressing into the outer edge of the left foot. Legs working hard, core working hard, softening through the head and the neck. Slowly unravel the arms. If they were still in eagle, bring your hands to the mat. Straighten out the right leg. Left toes turn out, bend into the left knee. Into your Skandasana. Ooh, it's so blinding in here this morning. So lowering the hips, but staying active. So rather than sinking down into joints, we're finding activation in the muscles and the glutes and the inner thighs, and maybe that means that you don't lower as much. Totally fine. If you'd like, you can take a little twist to open up the chest, reaching your right arm up, left arm to the inside of the left knee, and staying active through the legs, breathing through it, enjoying that sunshine if you're also in a beam of light. All right, let's bring the right hand down. Start to pivot, face the top of the mat again, heel toe the right foot wide, coming back into a lunge. We plant both hands down. We grip the mat so firmly with the fingertips, like you're clawing into the mat. Hug the inner thighs. Know that your left knee can come down at any point. So if you need to, you can drop the left knee down. Pull your right knee to your right shoulder. And then do your best. See what happens when you squeeze your right heel towards your glute. Pointing the toes, keep pushing the floor away. Take one big breath in. As you exhale, send the hips up and back, three-legged dog. We'll stretch out the right leg. And then lower the right foot down beside the left, so feet are together in your downward facing dog. Stay in your downward dog as you lift the heels nice and high. Open the knees wide. Press your hips towards your heels. So the shins will become a little more parallel to the mat. Head hangs heavy. Breathing here, knees open wide. If you need to tap the knees to the mat, you totally can. If you need child's pose, you can. But you are strong. Stay here for one more breath. Now let's lift the heels high. Look to the top of the mat. Bend the knees. Make your way up to your forward folds. Lengthen and lift halfway. And take a fold. And then rise all the way up, palms touch. And bring hands to heart. Boy, thank goodness we only have one more side to do. So let's do it together. Starting in our tree. This time, left leg nice and strong. Take the sole of the right foot to the inside of the left leg. Calf muscle, ankle, inner thigh. Be mindful of that left knee. Never want to mess with the knees in yoga, that's for sure. So we press foot against leg, press leg back against the foot. You can take hands to hips, make sure that they're level. You can bring hands to heart. You can reach arms long overhead. Your practice, you get to choose. Find that one point to focus on. Steady your gaze, your breath, your body, your mind. Noticing how they are all connected. Take one more inhale here. And as you exhale, we'll sweep the right arm underneath of the left, cross the right leg over the left. Again, palms stay facing away. Maybe you bring them together in your eagle, or you grab opposite shoulders. Squeeze the legs, squeeze the arms. Big breath in, arms lift high, lift the chest. As you exhale, a little sleeping eagle, round in, shoulder blades spread. Again, inhale to lift up, arms lift high. Exhale to round in, using your core for balance, for support. But reminding yourself, it's totally fine if you fall. It is no big deal. We all do. All right, this time let's rise up as we inhale. Lift the right leg, stay with it, and then step back into warrior two. So a giant step back, right toes tuck under, right foot pivots flat. Again, heel to heel or front heel to back arch. Make sure you've got that alignment. The big bend in your left knee. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, humble warrior, folding down to the inside of the left leg. So rib cage and inner thigh maybe connect. As you hug the knee towards the left shoulder, you can bring hands down again if you need that support. You can keep them in eagle if you'd like that rat still. Pressing into the feet, hugging them together like you're gonna ripple the mat between your feet. Keep dropping the head, softening the jaw, breathing deep. And let's release the hands down if they're not already to the mat. Straighten the left leg. Feels so nice to do that, straighten the left leg. Right toes point out. Again, rather than sinking into a low skandasana, we'll take it a little higher. Activate through the hips, the core, the inner thighs, lengthening the spine, so reaching the chest forward. Maybe taking that twist with right arm to inside of right leg, left arm reaching up. Again, maybe still in that beautiful beam of light. Feeling it warm you up, feeling it bring you some life, some energy for your day, for your week. Bring the left hand down if it was lifted, crawl back to the top. Heel toe the left foot a little wider. Plant the hands down, firm grip. Again, right knee can drop down if it needs to, or you can keep it lifted. Staying here and breathing as you pull your left knee to your left shoulder, pushing the floor away. Feel your core lift further away from the floor. Tell yourself you've got this, because you do. And then we'll start to pull the left heel towards the left glute. Can you keep your knee glued to your shoulder or your tricep or wherever it is? Take one more inhale. As you exhale, lift the hips up. Left leg long. And then we'll take the feet together in your downward facing dog. Keep the big toes touching as you lift the heels high. Allow the knees to open wide. This time we will walk the hands back into garland. So hips reach towards the heels. Head hangs heavy. Give your arms a moment of rest here. Give your mind and your breath a little pause. An opportunity to slow down, to recollect, to reconnect. All right.
Now the part you've been waiting for, our crow pose. So option one is to hang out here.
This is called garland, with the heels lifted, the knees wide,
really rounding through the spine, opening through the hips. If you're coming into crow, I like to start with my feet together. Everybody's a little bit different, so you can either start feet together or feet hip width, totally up to you to play around. If you find that your hips are really tight, I don't have a block with me today, but you could always step your feet onto a little block or a book and give yourself a little bit of a perch, something to perch on so that your knees come a little bit higher to your arms. Hands are shoulder width apart. Feel that grip on the mat, so in fingers and bottom knuckles rooting down into the mat. Lifting those hips, bending the elbows as much as you need to create a shelf for the arms. Gaze forward. Keep your gaze forward, keep your neck long. Feel like you're doing reclined crow where you're on your back and your core is so strong. Maybe staying there, working on bringing weight into the wrists, working on engaging through the core, lifting the hips. Maybe coming into just a tiny little crow where one toe lifts, squeezing heel to glute, lowering it down, switching sides, maybe taking both feet off of the mat, feeling it out, gripping firmly, lifting core, feeling the sweat drip on the mat. It is all good. It is all normal. Giving yourself a break if you need to, trying a couple more times if you'd like, and just being patient, taking your time. And when you're ready, we'll come to a seat. Whew. And give those hips a little bit of love. So just bringing your hands behind you for some support and taking a few little windshield wipers with the knees side to side. As you drop knees side to side, gently press the hips a little bit away so you can feel a little bit more stretching through the front of the hip. My heart is beating fast. Maybe yours is too. Maybe you're still trying crow. You can always let me know if you have questions. If you're worried about something, if you're not sure about something, I'm always here. Send me a message. Show me what you're working on, how you're feeling, what you're struggling with. All right, we'll bring the knees back up. We'll take the feet wide. We'll bring the arms out in front and then bringing the tops of the hands towards the mat so that your fingers are pointing towards you. Give those wrists a little more love. If this is too much, bring your hands a little closer to your body and just don't bring as much pressure into the hands. If you'd like more sensation, arms further away. I like to sway a little side to side. Really getting all the way around the wrist. And like I said, the wrists are something that can take a long time to strengthen. They can be finicky. I've been practicing for years and sometimes my wrists still give me issues. So not to discourage you, but just to keep that in mind, that you're not the only one if your wrists are sore. Our daily lives play a big role in our wrists. Take your hands off the mat, give them a nice shake. Roll them around. And then we'll come onto our backs, bringing the feet about hip width apart, lowering on down. We'll take a couple gentle bridges here, just to, again, open up through the hips, get a little bit of a back bend in, press down into the feet, and then lift the hips up. A little squeeze of the glutes, nothing too crazy, just gentle. And slowly lower back down.
And then another little lift up. This time, if you'd like, you can interlace the fingers behind you, taking a little bind, opening up the chest, stretching out the shoulders a little more. Again, feeling open, but trying not to work too hard right here. Just allowing your body to cool down. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, softly lower the hips to the mat, arms come wide out to the side like a T. And then we'll drop the knees over towards the right. Take a little twist. Couple big breaths up and down the spine, into the belly, the core. And slowly bring the knees back up through center and allow them to fall over to the left-hand side. Again, enjoying a little twist, filling your belly up like a balloon and feeling it deflate. Feeling that pulse of your breath through your body, that life force that keeps us going. And that happens without us even trying. And slowly bring the legs back up and take any final movement, any final posture, anything that is calling to you right now. Before settling in to your most final savasana for today. Getting comfortable, finding a bit of stillness. A moment or two, if you can spare that for today. And just taking these moments to breathe, to be, to acknowledge your body and the things that it does without you even trying. Maybe realizing that sometimes that's what we need when we're working on postures, like crow, or we're working towards something that's really difficult. Maybe we need to ease off a little bit and let our bodies do what they can do because they know what to do. Just allow yourself to be here. Let your body do what it needs to do. I thank you so much for joining me this morning. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Namaste.